It's not beer pong. It's not cornhole. It's Pop Darts. And it's taking over the sports world one suction cup at a time. From ESPN's Top 10 to your living room table, this is What's Poppin', the most satisfying sports podcast in the world with Mr. T and the Commish. The game, the players, the wild moments you can't script, and the laughter that comes with it. Two guys, one league, zero filter. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody? Episode 8, What's Poppin'? We got a huge episode today. We just saw the West Coast Series finals on ESPN, and we've got Evan Bedrovich here with us, and we are going to talk all things Pop Darts and tear apart this tournament that we just watched, and let's just jump right in. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're gonna we'll get you right away, but I'll give you a little crap here in the morning. But East Coast, so West Coast is coming up still,
East
Mr.
Coast,
T.
my bad.
So we're gonna recap the East Coast to start this one out. So
I'm excited about the West Coast.
That was a fun airing to see on ESPN too. That was pretty cool to kind of catch that on. I mean, it was late night, but it was worth staying up for.
For sure.
I'm a fan of Monday night TV, right? Because I have a toddler, so she's in bed by 7. So for me, like that 7 to 11 window is the perfect TV time. So you have me signed up at 10 o'clock. That was great.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a good time when you got kids because they'll go in bed and you can sit down and relax. So, Evan, your first time in a Pop Darts kind of area, what did you think? What was your first kind of reaction to the environment, to the Pop Darts world?
Man, I remember seeing it because I was at Ocho Day last August, but doing different sports. So we were around it, but and then seeing all the fans fire them off and having the one-off to get the last competitor in was great. But then seeing it in this really neat bar setup, and you guys see it on ESPN, right? But just the vibe, the environment, like it was popping from noon to 5 when we were filming the whole thing. And, and just having people energetic and bringing their signs. And like, that's what Ocho is all about. And once we did some staging stuff early on that you guys see in the episode, but when the competition started, like it turned from fun and frantic to business, right? And when that flip switched and seeing the guys get after it and joke around with each other and the breadbasket boys doing their thing, like that just made me laugh the whole time because it was good TV too. It wasn't just, 4 hours of us having a blast.
Yeah, there were some big shots. Throughout the night. And Mr. T, somebody got to join you.
I noticed that. Yeah, that was incredible.
How do you feel about that?
Could not be more happy for Luke. I mean, what a shot. I brag about him all the time. I love watching him throw Pop Darts. Just his energy and his unique throw and his costume. I'm going to call it a costume because that's what it is for him. But yeah, Luke's awesome. Welcome to the club, Luke.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And again, that's not stuff not that the people watching don't know, but it's not that easy to hit that on the top of that target. So to get another moment like that is
especially with the lights and cameras.
Oh, yeah, talk about that one, Evan. You're more used to it than the rest of us, but holy cow, isn't that different? Like watching those guys, like when all the lights are on them.
That was a Hollywood TV studio setup. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better second level of a beautiful restaurant, whole little speakeasy corner to ourselves where we could do staged walk-ins, and there were like 8 or 9 cameras floating around. There was a pizza party in the back. All the production people were eating pizza before we got started, like, organized chaos. And then boom, we turn on the switch and start actually filming. And yeah, I mean, that T-Nobber was great. And just seeing everybody go nuts. And then the fact that there was still competition to go, right? Like it didn't even end that particular round. So we had to kind of reset and get our energy back. And it looks good in the final cut, but it's funny in the moment where everyone's like, oh my God, that just happened, right? And then you're like, oh wait, we got to keep going.
Yeah. So, there's a lot more games left.
Got to get the table, flip back over and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no doing that.
No,
not
this time.
I don't know what it's called. I'm not a WWE guy, but when they pile drive or whatever it was, that table was snapped. So probably one of my favorite shots is they come back later to the breadbasket boys sitting there with the table like in like a V and just in front of them. I was like, oh, that's great. That's a really good look.
Awesome.
So it made me laugh.
And credit to our producer, Sean. He's so experienced and, has experience with the Beast games and all this stuff. And he comes in and he's boom, boom, boom. We got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. And then Jeremy and I made a joke, and he's like, okay, play that joke off and keep it going. And, and the fact that some of that makes the show too is great, because like our banter is not all business. It's kind of fun too. We're making fun of each other. And like, he was on his game from the second we walked into that bar in Orlando.
And it's, again, I would say it's a testament to him more than anything else, but everybody was like, Evan, I mean, you included, it was like, I'm the one guy that has no idea what the heck's going on here. And everybody from the guys that were running the mics to the guys that were doing the cameras and the sound. And like at one point they're like, back up here. And then they're like, they were getting frustrated with Evan and I, cause we were watching and moving and like, they're putting X's on the floor and they're like, no, this is where you go back to, like, come back over here. I think my wife said that the sound guy chased me for like 15 minutes during one of our things, trying to like replace a battery. And I'm like, why didn't you say anything? Like, I don't know where you are. Like, they were all incredible from start to finish. So it was a really cool crew to work with. And yeah, Sean, man, what a sense he has for, I mean, yeah, what do we call it? Organized chaos, but it was chaotic as all heck. And he knew exactly what was going on the whole darn time, which is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, he's on it.
Well, you see it in the show too. There's a drone sweep-in shot that they use to like introduce at the start of the show. And it's amazing that drones can fly through little doors like that. But the way he was masterfully like sweeping it in, he came up on us a couple of times, and you're like, oh my gosh, if I ever flew a drone like this, I would crash
for sure.
A million times out of a million. But he weaved it over the competition table too, and like through the fans one time, and it was like, how the hell is he doing that? But it was amazing.
Oh yeah, and the editor that was working on the show would he'd be watching, and well, and Mr. T, you and I, we nerd out. This is what we do.
Yeah,
we run podcasts about Pop Darts, but every now and then, like I would say something, or I would say something to Evan, or he would come over and we weren't on camera, and he'd be like, what just happened there? And I would nerd out. I'd be like, yeah, and he hit this, and like when he did it, he stole this, and he got an extra point for this, and he's like, slower into the camera. He's like, tell them what happened. I was like, he was so great. The editor was amazing. Dwayne was a really cool guy to work with, and definitely you learn a ton. Your first time out there and your first time doing it. And I watching the show back, they made, well, at least me, they made me like way better than I felt in the moment. Like it was, you feel like you're missing something, and Pop Darts goes fast. I think Miss T, you and I talked about this. Like there's not I mean, Evan, you did basketball. I mean, how does it compare to like a basketball game? Like you probably have more time to talk during a basketball game than Pop Darts.
Yeah. And with the knockout scoring too, you're doing mental math as it's going on, right? Because what people didn't see is the board was over to our left, and we had a little monitor like this direction. So we're kind of doing these double takes, and it's like, oh, okay, he scored that, and you're taking the notes. And then they got us a little monitor later, so it all worked out on the show. But it was interesting trying to like see it, but then you're seeing it from a monitor at a bar, and then you're looking over here, and we all figured it out. Right. But people at home maybe not have noticed that. But the way we were positioned, they wanted to get our natural reactions, which a few of those snuck in. But it was nice just to see that. Well, we'll work on the quirks and we'll make it better for the next show. But I think that was a great start.
Sean said something after the first like edits and stuff, in the way there was lots after. He kind of said something to me, and it really stuck. He's like, it's not. Nothing goes poorly or well. It's like you either have something to learn from or something to improve upon, or you hit that piece on the head. And yeah, there's going to be a ton of stuff to improve upon. I still was pretty, happy with the way it was, with the excitement, with the players. Boy, talk about the players. What a day they had.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. T, talk a little bit about when you were on, like, what was it like being a player? Because these guys, I felt like they were put through the ringer.
Dude,
right?
yeah.
4 or 5 hours.
These guys on this episode had the fortunate advantage of not having to go through the pressure of the 22 dart throw. So that was crazy. Everybody watch that. How crazy that was. And I was feeling the pressure for sure. And right before we walked out there was they caught it on camera. I dropped down and knocked out 10, 20 push-ups real quick. And all those guys looked over at me like, what is this guy doing? And I'm like, I got to do something with this energy that I've got built up right now. And push-ups are where it's at. And hey, I didn't see anybody else do push-ups, and I didn't see anybody else up there throwing T-knobbers on the stage. So, maybe there's something to it.
Yeah. Those guys some of them sat around for 2 hours before they got to go up there and throw.
Oh, yeah.
So all this stuff is going on, and like they just sat and sat. They became like professional at like sitting around. So I think that made it tough for them to play games, when it came to it. So it was interesting, and they were all such good sports. The athletes that were there are all incredible players. So it was really cool to see how they played. And actually, speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about. I think it was fun to watch. We got to see, for those of us again that like to nerd out on Pop Darts, we get to see conservative players, and we get to see some aggressive players, and and their styles and what that did. How did that go? I mean, Mr. T, going into it, what did you think? I mean, I know we talk a lot about aggressive.
Yeah. So my experience last year when I went in, I knew from the very beginning, if I get to where I want to go, I'm going to go aggressive. I want to do something big. I want to get a big shot. The close darts, they're great, but I'm going aggressive. And that's exactly what I did. I went aggressive that entire game against Colton last year. And, it paid off with that T-knobber. Unfortunately, I couldn't seal the deal, and he took the win. But, still, I told, playing against Colton, he's my son. I didn't want to just nickel dime him and beat him. If I was going to beat him, I was going to beat him with a T-knobber or something cool, so I had to go big.
Yeah. And we saw aggressive players.
Yeah.
That one game in particular sticks out. I mean, you remember DJ and Luke going at it. It was like, holy cow, are these two? It was aggressive play after aggressive play.
Unfortunately, on TV, it kind of makes them look like they're not that great. But the trained eye realizes what they're trying to do and sees that they are on target so well that they just keep bouncing off of it just a little bit.
Yeah. The other player that in this particular, set of matches that comes off as not looking like he played well, and I completely disagree, is that game with Zach against Cole, where the score said it was, a big difference, but he was bouncing shot after. He was one shot away from that score flipping right away. So in this particular, I guess, series of games, the conservative players kind of came out. But I don't know that we're not far away from that script being flipped.
Right.
I think that the aggressive play style, all it takes is one of those darts to stick, and we see a completely different result in multiple games that we watched. So it was fun to see that the players didn't shy away from a big shot.
Yeah, for sure.
That was cool.
No, I like both Unruh and Conlug. I think we're both playing to the crowd a little bit too, which was fun. Like between shots, they were hyping people up. They had great signs right there. So they're turned and they're doing this to try to, like free throw line, get in their head or something. But and then funny because Cole kept walking over to us and just between rounds and chatting it up. And, and he was just like, hey, what's going on? trying to keep an idea of the flow.
Yeah.
And of course he ends up winning it because he was one of our top guys coming in. But that was just neat too. Because Jeremy, the way you set up the bracket, it really did as the rounds got deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
The competition got even tighter, which is why we had some high scoring final rounds too.
Yeah, the brackets. The brackets were set up with with the players and what they accomplished with it, and every one of those 8 players is absolutely fantastic.
For
and
sure.
They showed why. Each of them had. There was not one player that didn't have. Somebody, will fact check me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't think there was one player that didn't have at least a 5-point victory or margin over their opponent at any given time.
Wow.
So like each one of them at some point held a 5-point lead, and we're talking everybody from the first round on. I know Derek was up, early. I know Austin started his game really, really hot. So all those players had their moments. Some of them, of course, delivered, and only one can win every game. That's the joy of sports. But they all played well, and at least I thought they did.
Well, and Austin was a trooper because before we started, we tried to film this whole dramatic intro and come up the stairs, and you see it in the show, right? But we had to do it 4 or 5 times, and you don't see that in the final edit. But you had to get the crowd right, then you had to get the cameras right, then you had to get the unveil right, and what type of shot we were going to do, and like all that takes steps. Which I'm glad it turned out well in the show. But it's neat that in the moment they could create that energy every time they had to recreate something.
Yeah, and they don't talk. This is the joy of sports. There's such a human element to everything going on, and I'll give a shout out to Austin. Austin the day before was hosting. We had the tournament the day before, and he came up to me and like we all kind of looked at him like, dude, what is going on? And he looked like he was on death's door. He was like, all of a sudden he came down with this like 24-hour bug that he was drained. So he went home early that night, came in, and he had barely he was still kind of feeling that like, effects of that. So you don't see that. You don't get to go on TV and watch, and say, hey, this guy's sick as a dog. Right. He's not feeling, the best, because he came out and he battled. He did really good, I thought. I mean, they set their standards for themselves higher, but I thought they did really well. So that's just me.
Yeah, they did. They killed it. Every single one of them just should be more than happy with their performance out there.
If they're not, they are. Yeah. I know those guys. Right. They just Luke, I'll use Luke as an example because this is just who Luke is. Luke is truly happy for anybody who wins at any stage, at any game, whether that be league or not. I mean, he's the one guy. I'm a sports guy. Sorry, I played sports growing up. I'm happy for all the guys, but if I'm competing, I'm not. I would put on a lie detector. I would absolutely beep that I'm lying to say that I wanted the other guy to win. I wanted to win. Like I was there I wanted to win. Luke's the guy you can put on a lie detector and you say, yeah, did I want Cole? Luke say, yeah, and not be a lie. That's just who Luke is. Like he's one of those guys that he celebrates everybody else's success as if it's his own. So, and all those guys are really, really nice that way. So it was fun to see. I saw Zach threw a left-handed shot. That was pretty funny. That was pretty good. And he stuck it. With a free dart for lefty. So that was pretty cool.
And see, that's how you get memorable, right? Because this is all about the TikTokification of the sport that Jason and Josh kind of created to make fun moments out of it. And then, hey, like that's probably going to go viral this week just because of the uniqueness of it. And then we had the basketball arc one and like different ways that people are like, I can relate to that now because Pop Darts is so new to a lot of people. And I think that's where they go, oh man, I'm watching this at 10:30 on a Monday. I probably have a beer in my hand. What the heck did I just see? And now I'm going to Google search it and buy something. Right. That's where it really hits home.
Yeah, and we did. We had those moments. Talk about the energy. I mean, you guys both like have been a part of it. Like the energy in the Pop Darts like world is just, isn't it just crazy? It always, every time it surprises me.
Yeah, it's awesome. It just rattles your core while you're in that room. It's awesome. Hard to explain.
I think it translates.
And how about we gave away some money too, which was amazing.
Yeah,
when they had the fan shots going off the second floor like that.
That was cool, and it was harder than it looks because you don't throw Pop Darts like that, with very regularity. Right. It's not a normal throw. So I have no idea what the distance was. I have no idea what the height is. Like it's not. Those pros would have been like, how far are we? Like what they. I think I watched them pull out the tape measure to measure the line to the target half dozen times. Just they're making sure everything is where it needed to be. Like they needed to know all of that. Like which that's how they practice. That's how they are. So the money shot on the other hand was just we're chucking a dart off a balcony onto the target, which was pretty cool. So it was fun to see a teacher win some money. That's always cool. Her kids play Pop Darts in the after school program. Nice. So no better person to do that. Speaking of which, I'll let you guys know because it's actually it will have happened when this airs. That same teacher we found the teacher, we hunted him down in the APL, and myself are actually gifting her an actual APL table.
Nice.
Custom with the school's logo and everything on it. So not only does she get her $100 to get some Pop Darts, but the APL is going to be sending her a table and saying, thanks for putting it in your after school program and throw some darts. So that's really cool.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it was fun to hunt that down and make sure that school's got something.
So now we're asking the big questions. Who are some names to watch in this West Coast Wildcard coming up?
Oh boy. So like the East Coast, there's a mix of players. There's going to be for the Pop Darts, and I talk to Pop Darts community. The general community, it's still too new. the Pop Darts community is going to recognize a couple of these names. Mr. T, big name in the Pop Darts community, is going to be competing at the West Coast. There are a few others. Not all the names are announced. I'll throw out another one, but because he's big, but Cathead Kid is going to be one.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big name in Pop Darts. He's played against Mr. T quite a few times.
I am 1-3 against Cathead Kid.
Yeah. So Mitchell is another one. Some of the ones that you won't recognize or that you don't necessarily know is, I will say, we've got some coming from the virtual world again. So very similar to to Jeff making his name and building his leagues. We've got another guy coming from the virtual world. Then you're going to see, I think the one thing that's going to be interesting about the West Coast is you're going to see different demographics in our players, and you're going to see probably some more unknowns. I don't think the talent is even a little bit lacking on the West Coast. In fact, I wouldn't put it past any one of these guys to go in and win the national championship. But I think you're going to see the sport's growing. So now you're going to see some unknowns. There's going to be your fan favorites that people know, but the West Coast is going to be littered with some guys that you may not have heard of. And I think that makes it exciting.
It does.
So I'm excited to see them come out, and I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of each of the players individually, and I think we have a very similar mix of aggressive style and conservative style players. So we'll see how that unfolds too, and see how those guys go. Evan, did any one of those guys not go tower at some point in their game? Like,
I know. I was kind of asking even on air, like. They're super aggressive. Even if the board already had scored, they were going for big points, which I appreciate.
So
mentality.
I got a feeling West Coast is going to be similar. I got a feeling with those guys, and I don't remember what I said on air or off air or what got aired or what didn't air anymore. But I think part of that is they respect the guy they're playing so darn much that it's, I do it to you before you do it to me mentality,
Right.
So with them all throwing at it, you don't want to be the guy that has the tower hit against you, before you can get that guy. So I think you're going to see a lot of the aggressive play style, on that side of things.
Yeah.
So, what went not according to plan? What did you think? Hey, I came in, this is what I thought was going to happen. And then what's something maybe they didn't see that you were like, what happened? Like, what was going on? Anything throw you off while you're out there?
I think the challenge in a day like that, because I've done this with axe throwing, a whole bunch of sports, right? Slippery stairs, pillow fighting. So, every sport's unique. I think the challenge when you're in those pre-taped windows, now it turns out great in the 1 hour show, but trying to keep the energy and the vibe up the whole time in a 4 hour setting, and that's where I think when we do it in California, we'll find different ways to take little potty breaks or food breaks or stuff, because people were kind of waning in the middle, and it's like, hey, here we go, let's get them back going. Thankfully we had our energy because we had little waters and whatever. But I do think the challenge in those long days is just keeping everybody energized with it. And when the gameplay happened, that was the easy part, right? Because they see it, but when you're transitioning from one thing to the next, and oh, hey, now we're going to throw, like you said, on this board 50 feet away at the table downstairs, and then transition back upstairs. And people were good sports about it, and we'll keep that. We'll get some music going in the bar, which was good, and wherever we film it out in the West Coast. But little logistical things that you won't see in the show, but all of us were like, oh yeah, we can clean that up. But I think in terms of gameplay, everything was great on that end.
Yeah, I thought so. Is there I'm looking at one of the questions I prepped. So who is the biggest diva on set? who's the biggest like diva on the whole set? Is there anybody that stands out?
Well, it's funny because you're talking to Jason and Josh, right? And then the wives come up, and not that they're divas. That's not what I mean by that. But they were the nicest people ever. And we were talking about our kids and like sharing stories. And then, they were trying to help organize stuff and like grab papers. And they had this little couch in the far corner. And we were like, that couch is in a weird spot. Let's remove this light. And, once the wives start getting involved and sharing input, it's like perfect. They have the good aesthetic touch that none of us guys have. So they were looking at things the way we needed to with, okay, we need more backlighting over here. We need to move people over there. there was this little kid and they had a kid's seat in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So he kept one of the kids in the seat in the front row. And like, who would have thought, right? Like there's a little baby seat just to put in a regular table, but we turned that into a little prop in the show. So having like that good feminine perspective was great for what we needed.
Yeah. I mean, my wife was there, not only her, correct, I don't know how she keeps my kids from, damaging the entirety of the restaurant while we're there, but she was doing that. She was helping me with computers and getting phones and charging and keeping everything going. So yeah, they were a ton of help, so shout out to all the wives. And yeah, Josh's wife was helping a ton with just keeping things kind of sorted out. And yeah, nicest people, nice people you can meet. So it was really cool seeing them there. And yeah, it's the second time we've seen her at an ESPN event, and they're always a pleasure. They're just a ton of fun to be around and to see. So I love this segment. I'm pretty sure it aired on ESPN. I have to remember now. They may have aired on social too, where they grabbed someone from the resort and brought him in to fire the shot to win money, right? Yeah.
We'll put that on social later, but that was just such a neat, little one-off idea that Sean, our producer, said, hey, why don't we go out and just get somebody from the Disney resort, right?
Did.
And there's all these families with kids, so that was perfect. And then just adding that element, which is something you don't usually do on an Ocho show, is like, oh, that's going to stand out.
Yeah.
So like that part made me.
Yep. They definitely went out and got somebody that was poolside to come throw for some money. So that was pretty cool. And he hit, I think too. I think he actually won money. The guy that shot that we grabbed from the resort. So that was pretty cool. And it wasn't, what did we throw? Hundreds of darts, Mr. T, from the stands in at Ocho.
Yeah,
like, that was a crazy look.
That was wild.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, it's always cool. And I love that Pop Darts does that kind of stuff, gets the fans involved. I think it's cool for a niche sport to start to have fans. That's a really cool, I guess, kind of change. I think a lot of other niche sports have other niche sport athletes that are kind of fans and watch it, whereas we're starting to get like fans. Like we have people that watch it just to watch it,
right?
They see it on it and they tune in. So I think a lot of that is a testament to Josh, Jason, and getting the fans involved with the production, with the the ESPN, with all of that kind of stuff. So
I got a question. Since I wasn't able to be at this event, what was the funniest moment that happened that didn't make it onto the episode?
Oh man, I mean we had we
that you can actually talk about.
We had a lot of, I mean, the cameras are rolling, so I mean we're always just talking and chatting it up. So there was a lot of them. I mean, Evan, I'll just make the reference, but like, the Ricky Bobby thing, like, I don't know how many times, Mr. T, you're seeing like, and he's like, and Evan's like, up, like, and all of a sudden I'd be going, and I'd be just, the mic would be dropping, and he'd be like, mic up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like, just keep the mic up, like, so yeah, there's a couple moments where like you could see that I was a rookie and didn't know what I was doing, so some of those
I had a flub where I called because the Beast Boys are twins, and I flipped their names, and they looked at me and they were like, what the heck did he just say? And I'm like, oh, just go interview them, whichever one of you guys is interviewing, because they're so nice, right? Zach and Danny.
Oh yeah, the
guys,
Basket Boys are they're just a blast, and they were funny. They were great. They made some funny. They made some funny takes. I'm sure there's some of the funniest things were said by them that didn't air because they were funny. And when you give them a mic, the money guns were cool. They were shooting off the money guns. That was pretty funny. I liked.
And their sister was there, and she was like their ringleader. So she was keeping them organized because they're kind of scatterbrains, right? Young guys. They're on TikTok. They're doing fun videos, but like when you told them to do something, she was corralling them together. She was like, hey, you got to go here. You got to go there. She was the mastermind because those guys were great, but you need to kind of keep them within sight or they were going to run off and do it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely. They do. Yeah. They were a blast. They were fun to talk to. The second time I worked with them, they've gotten even, like, it's weird, but they're still funny and crazy and all the awesome, but they were even more professional. They were even more fun to work with, this time around. So I thought that was a really cool, thing. I mean, I'm enjoying, as we progress as a sport, continuing to do and to learn more things, and they've been a big part of that. So that's been pretty cool. Oh, I'm looking here. Oh, here. I'll ask Mr. T and I mean, so what matters more to like out there? Like and I'll say for these athletes, their actual skill or like their ability to like perform and to do it on camera, their ability to be good on camera. Like what matters more out there?
Go for it, Evan. Let's get your take on it real quick.
Man, I think given all the sports I've done, you see guys that make a fool of themselves. I think the hype machine is all about it, right? And people that can embrace that moment. We go back to Austin, embracing his entrance, embracing, he didn't necessarily make the final even, but he'll be memorable just for how he stood out in the show. And, and I get it. Everyone wants to win the 25 grand and Ocho and all that. But at the same time, I think a lot of people just talking to him day of, like, this is a hobby. It's a fun hobby that they do weekly and they do the virtual leagues. And, like everyone has normal jobs, which I love that part of it too. Because we've done axe throwing, we've done darts, and then like, it's the same idea where, someone's an engineer, someone does this. And like the fact that they stand out on the show and now get Instagram famous for a couple weeks, that's the cool part. Now I know I want to win too, right? Like I played junior college baseball. I played everything growing up. Like I want to be competitive, but I think the fact that there's some noteworthy shots too, like your shot, Mr. T, like that's something that we still see on TikTok all the time. And, and you didn't even win, right? But the fact that you were notable just for that day alone, I think is, to me, that's the most important.
Yeah, I agree. It depends on what's more important to you is what matters more out there. If you want to get that viral moment, or if you really just want to go out there, throw consistent darts to win the game, you may not end up with a 2 million view video on TikTok, but you might walk out of there with a check and a trophy.
Yeah. And I think that the athletes and Evan, I don't know if you could tell, it's one of the one things that I tell people when they ask me kind of like, what is it like in my shoes versus like a fan or watching it? These are the best in the sport, but it's hard being on camera. It is hard. I remember you throwing your first dart. I remember that dart, and it's not as easy as they think it is when they're watching from their couch.
It's so different. For one, I'm used to throwing in my living room where I've got 10-foot ceilings. It was so dark in there up top. It looked like I had no ceiling. It was endless. And it's like, okay, well, I can throw my dart a lot higher. Do I want to throw my dart higher? Should I throw my dart higher? Am I going to accidentally throw my dart higher? It took some, luckily we were fortunate enough to have some time to practice in that stadium before the camera started rolling. So, it was able to reel me in a little bit, but still, once those lights and cameras are on, man, that's intense.
It was.
And Jeremy, for our show, the warm-ups were maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, literally the guys, like right before we started filming, they walked out like, okay, here we go. We're going to film the first game. And then Cole and them started going for that first round. But it was like maybe a 3-minute warm-up, which I give them a ton of credit, even for the high-scoring rounds they had, because there weren't many that bounced off the board. Everyone was landing, 3 out of 3 shots.
They say the camera adds 10 pounds, but I think they got it wrong. I don't think it adds 10 pounds of weight to you. I think it just adds 10 pounds of pressure to your shoulders. And I don't know how many cameras are out there, but it felt like I had an extra 100 pounds on me.
Oh, it is crazy how many and all of those guys, I kind of said it to them, and they kind of like, oh no, not really. And I was like, actually, like I can tell, because I watched you guys play tournaments the last 2 days. You can tell that they're not themselves.
Right.
That's not the way that they were the last 2 days when they threw their first couple darts, so they could sense that the pressure was on them. And I think these 2 tournaments, I would almost summarize that the 2 guys who handled that pressure the best of the competitors came out victorious. I thought Cole handled the pressure really well. He was very calm and collected throughout all of his games, and he was down, I think, to Zach early, wasn't he? Down to Zach Conlog, I think, early. Yep. So he never wavered under pressure, and I know Colton during his run was cool as a cucumber. Yeah. Nothing fazed him. He just kind of rolled through, and so it'll be interesting on the West Coast to see which guys do well under pressure and which guys the pressure kind of gets to a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, Colton has always been good with the pressure, especially the last couple of years. He's had so much practice with his ninja sport, and the lights and the people, and there's cameras there too watching, and it's crazy. But he just goes out there and does his thing just like he did on ESPN, and I expect him to do the same thing this year.
Yeah, and I think Cole. I mean, should we talk about that? Let's just talk about that shot.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, we can talk how we got to that shot, but just talking about that last shot, and all right, Mr. T first. I mean, let's get the technical side of that shot.
Yeah.
How difficult was that shot Cole hit?
It's insane. I mean,
with one dart left.
I would love to know, and I would love to know the honest answer if that is exactly what he was trying to do, or if he was trying to go left or right maybe a little bit, and it just ended up where it ended up, because that happens. We aim for a spot, but there's so many variables for it to go 2 inches off one direction or the other. It happens all the time. So to go for that kind of shot seems crazy to me, but that's maybe he is a little crazy. I don't know, Cole.
And I'd have to go look at where all the darts were laid out.
Right.
It seems to me the backside on the other side, although he might have had a dart blocking that. So he was kind of the backside on DJ's side, which means you're going over not only DJ's dart, but the target marker too.
Right.
There's just almost no way that shot should have gone through. It's an incredibly difficult, skilled shot to take through traffic.
For sure.
So, and Evan, we talked about it. I don't know how many times, because it aired, because we probably said it 1,000 during the match with Cole and DJ, but he didn't not look confident. Even once DJ had do or die, I don't think Cole looked scared. I don't think Cole looked anything but calm.
Yeah.
Collected.
He did. I mean, yeah, ice.
No, because he lost that inside position right away, and then boom, he comes right back, and it's like, oh man, this guy's just not being stopped today. It doesn't matter where you put it in front; he's going to find a way to get it above you or on top of you, and then score even more.
Yeah, and that would be one thing. We didn't talk about this at all on air or in Mr. T. I don't even think we talked about it when we talked. Cole flipped position A probably better than anybody else.
Yeah.
It wasn't that people weren't hitting position A on Cole. Both Zach's and DJ were hitting position A on Cole.
Right.
He was just able to play around it better than any of the other competitors that day.
Yeah.
And it really showed.
And that's a type of skill that's going to win you big tournaments.
Yeah. Because, the good players aren't going to miss position A. They're not often.
Right.
They're going to keep the pressure on you if they've got that.
Right.
So it's interesting. And so Mr. T, we talked about this last week. Evan, what do you think after watching all that? Do you want to have the first dart, or do you always want to have that last dart in your hand? We were talking because honors is important in this sport, but boy, after watching that last dart, we said the debate's kind of open for whether you want to have the last shot now.
Right.
Honors is great if you're a stone cold killer and you can just get, like you said, position A right from the jump, which I think a lot of our guys who won did that in their rounds. But then you're facing a guy like Cole who can hit at any time and even get a T-knobber, right? And it's like, man, if he can do that, just, late shot, has to win it late in the round to get big points. I don't know. I think personally, me as a competitor, I'd want to go first. But knowing that someone could catch up and get me would also scare the heck out of me too. So maybe I'll answer you when I'm doing it for real myself.
Yeah, I don't have the answer either. I think I said last week, and I think I still stand by this. If I have the lead, I think I want honors. I think I want to throw first.
Yeah.
If I don't have the lead, I think I want to always know what I have to do.
Yeah.
If I do, I have to hit a tower. Do I have to hit? So I think at that point, I kind of always want my last dart. I want my last breath.
Right.
If he's beating me by 5 and I know I need T-knob or a tower, I kind of want to know that. So yeah. I kind of stand by that mentality, but
yeah,
I don't know. That's
one of the big advantages of having the last dart is so you're throwing the second dart. So now if you're playing an aggressive player, that aggressive player is a very good chance that they're going to be going for a T-knobber shot or at least a very close dart. And the odds of that bouncing off and giving you a wide open board on your first throw is pretty big out there. So you've got those odds with you to where you may get the first dart and the last dart by throwing second.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would actually, you can argue both points.
Yeah.
I like both of them.
I agree with your point.
Debate.
If you're in the lead, first start's ideal. If you're behind, having that last start is ideal.
So what was how did it feel, Mr. T, different to sit and watch it on ESPN after participating?
I had a little FOMO watching it. I wish I would have been there, but I get to be at the West Coast one, so we'll get some screen time there and get to see everybody and meet you, Evan, and hopefully get to do some interviewing and maybe shoot some podcast reels and stuff. And it was great watching it because it's kind of like cooking. I do a lot of cooking. I have a catering company. When I'm cooking my own food, I don't want to eat any of it. Other people's food is always better, So it was kind of nice watching and not having any pressure or that gut feeling like, oh my gosh, is he going to get this? Because it wasn't me. It was no big deal.
For me personally, like when I do a production, I don't love rewatching the show, just because you get in your own head about how do you appear, how do you look, was your posture right? Like little things that Jeremy and I were kind of chatting about between segments. But you kind of get a vibe based off how everyone reacts to it, how it feels. I'll definitely rewatch it. And I've already watched it, but I'm not one of those people who watches this show 100 times. I watch it once. Hey, did I like this and not like that? Little things that we can fix for the West Coast, especially with the live part. That's my favorite. It's the same way like when you have the chills of having to score to win around. Same thing for us. Like, hey, that countdown's on, and the camera guy says, "Hey, you're on in 10 seconds." Yeah, that's when it's really fun.
Yeah,
I'm excited too. I kind of agree. Watching it back, I will say, being my first time kind of talking, like in this setting and like announcing in ESPN, I will say I kind of liked watching it back because in my head I was thinking all the things I was screwing up. So then when you watch it, like how they made it look and how it wasn't that bad. So I think for the first one, it just got it out of my system. It wasn't as bad. In my head, it was always going to go worse. That's how my head works sometimes. So getting that out of my system was good. Moving forward, I think, like you said, one or two little things that I like to work on. And then that's it. I don't want to go too much into it. Like maybe a big part of me now is excited for the next one. And that's probably what gets me more excited is that was cool. It was fun to watch. It was fun to be a part of, but I want to take those improvements to the West Coast and absolutely, and we're always talking on the creative side, different ways and things we can do to improve upon the show time and time again, which is what you should do.
Right.
So I like that though. That's a good take.
Were you guys winging it more than people think?
I don't know what you're talking about. I will wink.
Right.
I was.
No, I think part of it too is that we didn't. You're learning the flow of a pre-tape show. The flow of a show like that's unique because when you're doing the events pre-taped, you're trying to get segment X to segment Y. So we would do gameplay and then fan celeb shot. But as we kind of learned, going back and forth was hard logistically. So we're like, let's just build as much hype as we can for the celeb shots. We were grabbing random people at Disney from the bar to like, hey, stand around the tables. And then we'd trade out different people and have them stand behind them. And we found this one young couple and we gave them some Pop-Tarts because they came over and were like during their lunch and joined us. So like just that part's unique because it looks like we did it in different takes, but it's kind of, just kept the camera rolling and grabbed stuff. So unique in its own way.
I thought it was fun. I thought the experience was exciting. When it comes to winging it, I absolutely was winging it. And you do all. I mean, Evan, you've been doing this, so you can maybe tell me that your first one was like this, and I'd appreciate it. You can lie to me. But like I overthought everything. I was over prepping every single thing I was doing. I was reading. I was taking notes. I was practicing things and looking at things, and in my head I was just going over and over. And they kept saying, like, you're the color guy. If you can't provide an insight on like strategy or say like, just stay quiet. And we were halfway through the first match, and you had said something like, all right, you can just jump in when you're like, and I was like, all right, I read to shut up and sit here and like be like add value when you can add value. And we were like like 3/4 of the way through, and Sean's like, can you talk? Like, tell them what you see. Like, why, like, what is going on here? Like, we brought you to talk because you talk. Like, why are you not talking? And I was like, I didn't know. Like, but as we went on, it got easier and easier to just settle in and talk Pop Darts. And that part was, it didn't take long. I would say my jitters we were probably only halfway through the first match, 3/4 of the way through the first match that we settled into figuring it out.
Found your rhythm.
Well, Mr. T, you and I were on halfway through season 2, but if we go back and watch some of our first episodes, even just the back and forth, when to pause, when not to pause, like you learn when you're working, with somebody that's kind of the tendencies, and when he's queuing you up, when he's talking to you, but you're not.
Exactly.
That was weird, Evan. Like when you're like, you're talking to me, but like there's no response. You're not supposed to respond. Like there is not a response. That's it's like we're having a conversation, so it's not weird, but like, don't say anything. Like,
yeah, we tried to use the metaphor, which I've used this a lot, but you're on an awkward date and it's like you and the date, and there's a waiter, and you're talking to everyone involved, but you're not always talking directly to them, but you want them to feel like they're part of it. And it's, it's that balancing act of like, okay, am I talking? Am I not talking? Or the breadbasket guy's talking and we're kind of shutting up and listening, and that balance was fun. It all merged together well. That's where the live's going to be unique, because you'll really see like that genuine, oh man, this was a crazy shot, and our reaction to it, and so it'll get better as we go on. But I think it was nice how it rolled out in the show.
Yeah, and I think just learning, I think, was a big piece of of what we're doing and how it was going. So like hopefully that piece continues to go well, and we continue to kind of develop as a crew and as as a Pop Darts kind of community. So I'm excited.
Evan, I got one for you. What is something you underestimated about Pop Darts coming into this fresh?
Yeah, I underestimated. I thought the rounds, it's unique how fast it feels. But when two good players, cornhole's somewhat similar with the cancel out scoring, but when two good players are going back and forth, how the drama can build throughout it, right? Because it was 7-6 a lot of the time, and it was hard to get even to double figures because guys were basically scoring the same thing. And you're like, oh, these rounds will be 8 to 9 minutes, and some of them were 15 minutes that we had to cut down in the edit. And then I think Cole in his semifinal just smoked his competition, right? And you can't anticipate, is the scoring going to be 18-14 and then someone's going to have to like finish it out, or trying to figure out all that stuff where you think, oh man, this should be a long one, and it isn't. And then sometimes, oh, this will be back and forth, and then someone hits a T-knobber and they get a big 5-point boost.
Right.
And they figure out scoring too.
Yeah. I like it. That part is, you can't ever tell, and that's the best part about, it's the best part of sports, period. I'm a huge sports fan. I'm a huge, I play sports, but it is, you can't script the big events. You can't script the close games, the back and forth, like what goes on when it comes time. I mean, you can guess, we all do. We're all going to make a guess as to who's going to win and what's going on, and, predictions. And I put together a top 10 list, which is, the most distinguished top 10 list in Pop Darts, the most respected.
I would agree.
It goes far above, the APL rankings and everything. I'm not biased or anything in that, but you can't script when it's time to play. You can't script the big throws. You can't script the big moments. And I think that's what makes sports fun, and Pop Darts doesn't fail to deliver on that round.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Who gained the most stock after that tournament of the 8? Well, and it doesn't have to be one of the 8 players if somehow somebody else gained. Whose stock raised the highest after the East Coast Wildcard?
I mean, I think the easy answer is Cole. So I'm going to bypass Cole because he had a name for himself before this. He's the number 1 ranked player in the APL. Everybody knows he's good. He's a massive human. Everybody knows who he is. You can pick him out of a crowd of 1,000 people in no time. So I'm going to bypass Cole on that. No disrespect, Cole, because you definitely did gain some stock there. But man, I almost want to say Zach Unruh. His play was awesome. And then, man, I think I'm going to go Zach on that one.
I think Zach, if if you're a true Pop Darts guy, I think guys watching on the screen are going to say I'm confused, but because he bounced a lot that game. He had the biggest loss, but there were so many. I'm going to go back and watch and count how many he hit off that target marker.
And Zach has got he's got such a great attitude. He's so much fun. Yes. And the true Pop Darts people know that by watching his videos online, but to get him on the big stage to where everybody gets to see who Zach is, I think that's where Zach's going to gain a lot of stock in this.
I will say one thing. I'm gonna quote a direct quote from Austin that he told me after the event. He said, "It is so." He's like, "My edge was supposed to be in like being a little bit of a shit talker, a little bit of like a kind of. I'm gonna bring that edge." And he goes, "It is so hard to do that against Zach. He is so nice. Like
right.
He was asking me how I was feeling. He was like, he is the nicest guy. He's like, I was like, yeah. He's that's who he is. He's a pretty nice guy. So, Evan, what do you think? What players jumped the most off the page to you after the East Coast?
I thought David Long did really well, Deej, right? And not only to win, but his kind of redemption arc story of, hey, he's a guy who's been doing well in these tournaments, but never getting to that final or getting to that semi. And I think for him, just scoring well and performing well, like that's a guy I'm going to watch moving forward now, because I hadn't really heard his name as much. I knew the big guys, but then it's like, man, he's not only a guy who's been in these tournaments, but he's winning now in these tournaments. And that was neat just to see him perform well.
Yeah.
DJ he showed up well. It's heartbreaking because, not everybody can win, and it's heartbreaking, but DJ did everything that he could to win that tournament. He played very, very well. He delivered when it was time to deliver. He did everything he needed to do. So it's heartbreaking to lose in the style, but I agree with that selection. I think he did fantastic job. And I'm going to answer that by also jumping off the Cole train. Cole, you had stock, you had momentum. You're the number one player in the world right now on both the Commish's list and in the APL rankings. You're making it very hard for anybody to catch you. So, I'm going to throw your name out of the stock gained. And I think that Luke showed everybody what kind of a player we've been saying, because we've been watching him for a little bit, but he showed everybody on the big stage what kind of player he really is, like how he has ascended. And for those that don't really know Luke's story, I saw him play in person the first time in December. So 5 months ago. He's nothing like he is today. He was not close to as talented a player as he is 5-6 months later. So to watch him go out there and just show everybody that he is legit. And again, he loses to DJ. I mean, DJ is playing out of his mind right now. Right. So Luke's another guy that I think, really, really put some stock and added some stock. He's going to be somebody, I think all three players that we named, you're not going to want to face come, the play-in for October to face that last. You do not want to be lined up against. Well, I wouldn't want to be lined up against any one of those 8 players, to be honest with you. So they all really performed well. So
agreed.
All right. Last question for everybody. Are we early or are we already there? Where's Pop Darts? Where we always talk about it. Are we just a little bit early, or are we getting there? Are we already there?
Oh.
This helps a lot because it'll air, every third weekend for the next 6 months. And I think June having that live element will help too. And then come August, it's like, now I've seen it, because August, and people always ask me, hey, Evan, I saw you call axe throwing in December, right? And we filmed it in August, but when you have 6 months of buildup where they've seen it 4 or 5 times, and then that live show hits August 7th for Ocho Day, that's when I think you're right. I think we're getting there. And then come July, August, when we're heating up for the big competition, then it really is like, oh man, 2 years in a row. And now we've had something.
Yeah. I think if I can have anything to do with it, which I have very little, but just enough, I think we're early, but not that early. I get people that still this week have said, hey, I just saw you on ESPN. And I was the little dude in the corner of the screen. I was the referee at the Ocho. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. I was just a little guy in the corner. And people will still say, I saw you. And I'll get that all the time. now with this one starting on ESPN2 is going to be big. We're going to get so many views. We're going to get so many new views, people that have never heard of Pop Darts or seen Pop Darts before. So I think that's going to be, and then like you said, the re-airs, and boy, we didn't even mention the fact that Pop Darts is going to do what they do, which is they're going to hit the social medias like crazy with these highlights and these clips. You might see stuff that didn't make the final cut that's now going to start popping up on socials. You're going to see some cool moments that pop up there. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I
think we're still way early on Pop Darts. I think there's a lot to come.
Yeah. So Mr. T, the only question remaining then, while we've got Evan, is like, who do you think's going to win the West Coast Wildcard?
Hey, I'm playing in it. If I don't go in with the confidence that I'm going to win, I just don't need. There's no reason for me to show up. So I'm going for the win on that one, no doubt.
I like it. It's that's good, and it's the
Evan,
only
before
answer.
we go though, I got a question for you, Evan. What's your favorite color Pop Dart?
Man, so the ones I have at home are red. They're in my living room, and my daughter.
I'm a big fan of the red.
Good to know. She likes the red one because you're wearing the red shirt, and two, they're child friendly. So when she gnaws on them as a teething
Right.
toy, they're great. And then I throw them, and then she goes and crawls and gets them and gnaws on them. So it's kid friendly and
Perfect.
adult friendly. So I'm team red dart if we can do that.
So does she bring them back to you now?
She doesn't throw them yet. We're working on that, but she'll like crawl and like here you go, and then I throw it again, and then she goes and gets it. I'm like, but I got to cancel out scoring, and she doesn't understand that part. But
she'll get there. All
That's
right,
pretty cool. I like
Awesome.
that.
Evan,
I
it was
appreciate it.
fantastic
We will-
having you.
we're
Yeah,
looking forward,
and now-
looking forward to June and everything leading up to it. This is great.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Mr. T is just glad that somebody had to suffer being, my co-host other than him on a regular basis. So now he knows that there's somebody else out there that has to deal with the pain and suffering. So it's we'll spread the love.
That's another round of What's Poppin', the most satisfying sports podcast in the world with Mr. T and the Commish. The only place where suction cups and smack talk collide. Follow the madness on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at What's Poppin' Podcast. And catch every episode wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, keep your aim tight and your suction strong.